Dinesh. Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this press conference with Proteas coach Mark Boucher. As always, we'll start with the questions that are on the floor, and then we'll move on to the Zoom. On the Zoom, please ensure that you have your monitors muted and that you raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. We'll start right now with Telford Vice.
How's the Bouch? This is not the first time you're looking at the aftermath of a match like this. There's a long history, but would you say that, considering the opposition, this is the worst of all of them?
Well, probably as a coach, yes. I think it is quite frustrating because as a player, you can at least still have a say in the game. As a coach, you sort of left to leave it up to other individuals to go out there and try to perform. So, yeah, it's certainly as a coach, yeah, it's up there.
Where do you think it went so badly wrong today?
When we woke up, I think if you look at the way that we started the game, our energies were low. Whether that's because it's a 10:30 game, at times have been quite difficult. I don't know. I haven't really put my finger on it. Haven't had chance to speak to the guys yet and find out where they've sort of feel it went wrong. I think our plans were there, but we didn't quite use them well enough. I thought if you look at the game as a whole, I think Netherlands outbowled us. They bowled with good plans, bowled to the longer side of the field, and they were just able to create more pressure on us than we were able to create pressure on them.
And of course, this is your last game as South Africa's coach.
Yeah.
How does it feel to go out on a note like this?
No, it's not great. But as I said, I can honestly look at my coaching staff, and we ticked every single box that we needed to tick. So, as I said, sometimes you're in control of things, sometimes you're not. So I thought the guys were in a very good space. I think we've played some good cricket over a long period of time, especially in T20 cricket. We slipped up the other nights against Pakistan. And we looked a little bit flat today. It's not that we overtrained. I think our training sessions have been very short because we understand that we've played a lot of cricket. But the energies didn't seem. I don't know if that's the case. As I said, I haven't spoken to the players. It just didn't seem like it was quite there today, and we didn't bowl. Like I think that we should have bowled, but we didn't bat like I thought we should have batted as well. I don't think. I think the total that was put on for us was maybe a little bit more than we expected, but certainly one that our batting unit could definitely have chased down. So I think we just, all in all, we deserve to be better in this tournament as a squad, but it didn't happen.
Obviously, there's a long list of white ball, I guess, World Cup failures. Can they be linked, or is each one an individual event, if you understand what that means? I
think each one's an individual event. I know that there's a lot of history behind South African cricket and World Cups and that, but the last World Cup, I thought we played some very good cricket. We lost one game and knocked out. This time around, if you would have said to us, we got Netherlands to play to get into a semi-final and we've got to beat them, we would have taken that at the start of the tournament. But yeah. These things happen. It's not the only upset that's happened in the tournament. I think in T20 cricket, you can get onto a bit of a roll. One or two batters come off, you create a bit of pressure, and this happens. There's been some very good sides that have been beaten by, if you want to call them the lesser countries. But yeah, I think it makes for exciting cricket throughout the whole competition.
Just wondering how Keshav is.
I don't know. He looked like he was hobbling towards the back in there, so it looks like something serious. But we'll obviously get our medical team to assess what he's done. It looked like a groin injury.
And just generally too, I mean, things are difficult for South Africa when it comes to the ODI Cup, World Cup next year too, in having sacrificed, I guess, the possible points on offer for that series against Australia. So as coach now, where do you see South African cricket when it comes to white ball cricket and the positions that they're now in?
Look, I think if you look at our T20 side, we've got a good team. We believe that on our day we can beat anyone. And that's why I say it's disappointing to have an exit like this with this particular squad, because I do believe we deserve better as a squad. We've got ourselves to blame. But yeah, I think our T20 side is in a good position. Our white ball stuff, I think we got ourselves to blame as South African cricket with where we are at the moment. We also understand that we've been through tough times and there's certain things that have to happen. With regards to leaving players out, letting them go to different tournaments and all that type of stuff. And it's all just amalgamated into a situation where we find ourselves having to qualify. But if that's the case, we've got to go do it the hard way, then so be it, we have to do it the hard way. So I think we just need a bit of continuity with regards to our one-day cricket, get the guys playing together. But, you might look at this team and go, there's quite a bit of experience. But if you actually look at the numbers compared to the rest of the world, the numbers are still quite low. So these guys are still building up on their experience. We have got one or two good experienced players around the unit. But yeah, there's certainly good players. We just need to put that all together and get good combinations going forward for the next World Cup.
And just on the whole thing about South Africa and World Cups, while you say that they are all different, is there a possibility that something gets in heads, even if it's not discussed, or it might be there because of that history?
I think the more you don't do well in World Cups, I think it does start playing in your head a bit. I think that's just natural. I don't think that's been the case of late. We've played in some tight games in World Cups and we've actually won them. Having a look at that, usually in the past we've tended to lose those games. We were never really in this game today, to be fair. So it's not like you look at it and go, from the start of the game, on paper, yes, we should have won the game. But the game's not played on paper. It's played out there in the middle, where we got out there, we didn't start off well. I think they batted well, they were brave. They can come out and play brave cricket, the situation that they're in as well, which makes them dangerous. And then we weren't able to get momentum back on our side. We put ourselves under pressure with the bats a bit up front by losing a few wickets. And I think, as I said, I think they read the conditions really well and they adapted quicker quicker than what we did. And they made it very tough for us. And that's that's it.
Last question before we move on to Zoom.
Hi. Do you think there was, in hindsight, perhaps a bit too much pressure on 3 or 4 batters with the longest tail and perhaps Temba not quite in the form that maybe South Africa wanted? So there was perhaps too much pressure on 3 or 4 batters in the middle?
You can look at it now and you can say, yes, that's the case, but all those batters that have been batting in the middle have been in great form, and they've come off at certain times. So I think you can't look at 1 or 2 players. I think we've got to look at it as a unit, as a squad, and everyone's got to put their hands up and say we just weren't good enough on the day-to-day. As I said, we played some good cricket in the past, recent past as well. We just weren't good enough as a squad today. Simple as that.
And just one more quickly. I guess that game in Hobart now looks even more important. Is there just frustration around the fickle nature of T20 World Cups? You get 5 more minutes in, perhaps, and you're potentially through to the semi-final?
Those are the rules. We don't make them. We just got to play by them.
On Zoom, we only have time for Ken Bolland and Zahir Adams. Ken, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Shibakazi. How's it, Mark? Mark, the toss. I think it's now 10 matches in a row that the team batting second has lost now at the Adelaide Oval. The pitch certainly was only going to slow down. What was the thinking behind choosing to bat second?
I think all those stats are stats at late on in the day. We went through everything. We went through what this wicket plays like early morning, sort of test match and first class. And the history was that the wicket was a little bit cold this morning, and we decided to go in with the extra seamer, and also decide because of that bowl first. We were maybe looking to make a bit of headway into their top order and middle order early doors. But we just didn't bowl well enough. I still think that, in hindsight, you can look at it now and yes, it did actually start to slow up a bit. We didn't think it was going to do that. We we got here yesterday, and the wicket was quite wet. It was quite tacky this morning as well, but it dried out a lot quicker than what we expected. We can look at a lot of things. We can look at playing four seamers, or maybe should have played an extra spinner. We can talk about batting first. Bottom line is we just weren't up to standard today. As a team, we just weren't good enough, and we didn't come out and perform as a unit. I think there were certain individuals who really stood out, but as a team, we just unfortunately didn't all rock up today.
Finally, Zaire.
Hazem Marcus, obviously your last game in charge of South Africa. Where do you feel that you've left the white ball team, particularly in both formats? How do you feel about what you've done over the last 3 years in white ball cricket?
I think in T20 stuff, I'm pretty happy with where the guys are. There's always going to be questions over one or two positions, but yeah, I think as a squad we've got a lot of depth. We've got guys coming in. We've got some good young players, that will be probably moving into our system soon as well. So I think as a white ball team, we're in a good space. As I said before, it's been quite tough to have some sort of continuity in the one-day team, but I certainly think that the players are there, and we've got the players to create different combinations. We just need to play them together for a longer period of time. This T20 side has been together for quite some time, and that's why when you start to win games, as we have in the build-up to this, and also at the start of the competition, people start looking at you and start saying, well, hold on, South Africa could actually win this. So I think it's in a good position. We have to try to keep all the players interested in playing for South Africa. I think that's a big question that needs to be answered. And then hopefully they can put some good combinations together and create some good coaching staff around these guys.
And just to follow up, how obviously you wanted to get through to the knockout stages. How disappointed are you that you haven't got there? Yeah, gutted, to be honest. As I said, I think the squad deserve to give themselves a better chance. And unfortunately it didn't happen for us, which is very disappointing for me and certainly every single guy is in our dressing room at the moment.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone.